Okay, so here we are again. Welcome. One of the most common dilemmas that pretty much every young lawyer is going to face at some point is, how do I get a job? Okay, and the basic process is that people do this. They go send out a bunch of job applications. That pen's not very good. Send out a bunch of job applications. Hopefully you then hear from the firm. Send, hear, and then if you're lucky, you get an interview. At the interview, you try and do nothing too grossly offensive, and then hopefully you get either another interview or a job. Yay! But here is the problem. If we zoom in a little bit on this bit here, what we're going to find is that the job applications look a lot like this. Blue dot, 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 and so on. Whole bunch of blue dots. And this is where clone syndrome starts to become a problem, okay? The difficulty in getting a job is that neither I nor anyone who's likely to be offering you some sort of employed position can tell one blue dot from another blue dot. I mean, they're all individual, but they're very, very difficult to tell apart from each other. So, what can we do about that so far as what might be possible? So let's say, what about this blue dot here? What if it wasn't a blue dot, but an orange dot? Would that be good? Maybe. At the very least, what we would know is that the orange dot stood out to us. In a sea of blue dots, we have an orange dot. Now the question becomes, firstly, how do I look like an orange dot rather than another bunch of blue dots? And at what point does being an orange dot make me seem like a massive weirdo rather than someone who you might actually want to be working with you on a day-to-day basis? Because you don't want orange dot to mean serial killer or some sort of lunatic, or you know those people who used to try out for the Idol shows who just clearly couldn't sing. They were orange dots because everyone remembered them, but not necessarily for the right way. So, what are we going to do? So the first thing we could do is we could turn up to an interview with some sort of memorable thing. So I'm going to turn up to an interview in some memorable way, and I'm bringing my robot. Oh, it's my little robot. Is that a good orange dot or a bad orange dot? Now, personally, if you're applying for a job as a lawyer, I think maybe bringing a robot made out of Lego to your interview is probably a bad orange dot. So what can we do with that? The question is, how are you going to distinguish yourself? That's what this is all an incredibly long-winded way of saying, because in a sea of clones applying for jobs, all of the things that you think distinguish you probably don't. So your grades don't really distinguish you. I'm confident you've got better grades than I got during my law degree, so well done. These days your volunteer work probably doesn't distinguish you that much, because although 10 years ago or 15 years ago when people were told to start volunteering to get that work experience, now everyone does it. So every job applicant looks like good marks, really want to work in a law firm, love the idea of working in your particular firm, because that's what we always say and everyone expects you to say that, has done some volunteer work, and that's about it. So there's this sea of copycats who all have those characteristics. How are you going to demonstrate that you are youer than you and nobody else is youer than you, or whatever it is the Dr. Seuss thing actually said? You are the youest you that is you, okay? That's what we're aiming for here. It's your personality, your individual characteristics, because out of fear, what has a tendency to happen when you go to an interview, because you don't want to be that person that was so weird and confronting the sensibilities of the people you meet with, you have a tendency to tone down your personality just wildly. Now, to some extent, I think that's common sense. There are limitations on how you probably want to be at a particular scenario. I can be me pretty well here because I'm standing by myself in a room, literally looking at a camera. The camera is not that judgmental. The other people on the other side of the camera, I mean YouTube comments, right? It's an opportunity for you to demonstrate your personal characteristics, your personal experiences, and your personal aspirations that might in some way make you slightly more memorable. And this can happen at any phase of the process. So this can happen at, and I'm not going to delete the blue dots, this can happen at application phase, this can happen at interview phase, this can happen anywhere. The question is, how are you going to present yourself in a way that stands out, in a positive way that will distinguish you from the cohort who is around you, who were your friends right up until the point where you all started competing for the same jobs. That's your challenge, to do it without being a massive weirdo and to avoid clone syndrome, okay? If you love a cause, if you are passionate about something creative, if you have done something different in terms of travel or volunteer work or whatever it may be, it's an opportunity for you to demonstrate those aspects of you that might create a human connection with the person on the other side of the table or the person reading your application. Okay? Avoid clone syndrome. I've said enough on it. Good luck.